How's everybody doing tonight? Holy moly, what a verdict. Hello, hello, everyone. So good to see everybody. I'm so glad to see you guys. Hey, Angela. Hey, Mama Stone, Sassy Patriot, K Braze, Crazy Mama, Jessie Lee, Joe, Seeker, Amelia Sparkles, Tony. Good to see everybody. Kat, Charlie. Hey, babe. Good to see everybody. Sass, Amanda, Jane Doe. Oh my, the chat just jumped as I was going through this. Vanessa. Hi, everyone. Nate D, what up, boo? Hey, Mrs. M. Hey, RJ Guest. Good to see everybody. Welcome, 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 Heather. Hey, hey, hey. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm so sorry if I did. I didn't mean to. Right as I was scrolling through from the top down. Hey, Mimi. The chat jumped, and I don't appreciate that, StreamYard. You need to get onto that immediately. Hey, Ava. Gage, stop emailing me about webinars. Get on your system here. It's too jumpy, and I don't appreciate it. All right. So, right now, currently, I am, I have the law and crime conference pulled up. And I'm waiting for there to actually be a press conference so that I can bring it to you guys. What was I going to tell you? I think I figured out why StreamYard was giving me fits. So StreamYard gives you so many hours of like where it will record your lives, and you have to. I kept getting a notification, hey, you're out of storage, you're out of storage, you're out of storage, and I just kept ignoring it, like nothing's going to happen if I continue to ignore it. But I have it all ready to present, and it seems like it's going to be just fine. I think that might have been the StreamYard was like, listen, you're maxing us out, and we really don't appreciate it. So everybody, fingers crossed. Nope, spoke too soon. Here it goes. Dadgummit. I don't know what's going on with this dadgum Wi-Fi. It's driving me nuts. How about those closing arguments, the rebuttal by the state today when he said, thank God for Bubba for getting that chicken. Hey, Ashton. Hey, Max. Good to see you. Hey, Salty C. Before we get started and get into this, I am watching for when they actually hold the conference. Hang on a minute. Give me a sec. They look like they're adjusting everything and all that. But let's have a word from our sponsors right quick before I forget. All right,
and Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
All right. So you guys all know what to do. Give your girl a thumbs up. Hell, give a girl a thumbs down if you want to. If you just want to see what it does, I don't mind. I won't have hurt feelings. Girl, thumbs down. Oh, hold on. I put my own thing on so I can watch YouTube to make sure. It's easier for me to see the chat in YouTube than it is on StreamYard. I don't really like it on StreamYard as much. So I think that it was off the table because let me highlight this question. This is a good question, Charlie. I think that the reason it was off the table is because it was a circumstantial case. Not that that's a less case, but the thing about having the death penalty is if you are convicted and you get the death penalty, your appeals are automatic. So it's much more likely to be, your conviction is much more likely to be overturned in a circumstantial case versus the versus a case where there is direct evidence, like a witness or DNA, something like that. So, hey, Aries, Pork, can't talk today. So yeah, I think that is why the death penalty was off the table. Now, I have seen it, like with the Wagner trial. There was actually no direct evidence against George Washington Wagner the Fourth. They did have two sets of footprints in blood. They matched the shoes to shoes that Angela Wagner purchased for Jake and George. But what they had in that case, and he wasn't sentenced to death, but the death penalty was on the table, up until Jake testified. But the reason that that was part of Jake's plea deal, is that if he testified against his dad, well, his brother first, and then his dad's coming up, that the state would take the death penalty off the table. So, but they were seeking it. But the reason that they were seeking it in that case is because they had a witness. Jake was his. Oh, it started. Oh, God, Jen, get your life right, girl.
I'd like to start real briefly by thanking our team. First, excuse me, put my glasses on. Our chief prosecutor, I tell you, I appointed Creighton Waters to be the chief prosecutor of this case nearly a year and a half ago. And I want to say I'm pretty brilliant because I picked the right guy. And I want to say thank you to Creighton Waters. Creighton, you did a fantastic job. I don't think there's another attorney in the state of South Carolina that could have led this Herculean effort. But Creighton will be the first to tell you he didn't do it alone, because he had a team of people. I want to first thank Don Zelinka, who is actually Creighton's boss. He is the deputy attorney general, been in the attorney general's office for over 40 years, sitting here to my immediate left. Don Zelinka, thank you so much. John Metters, many of you got to see him do the closing argument today. John, thank you. You've been a phenomenal add to our team. I'm going to go quickly through the names, but as I read the names, please raise your hand. You know Creighton, you saw Don, and you see John. David Fernandez.
Hey, Mia.
John Conrad. Johnny James. Savannah Gowd. Ozzy Toledo.
Yes.
Shane Acito.
Yes.
Carly Jewell.
Yes.
Carson Burney.
Yes.
Danielle Colon.
Yes.
And our victims advocate, Trisha Allen.
Yes.
I also want to say thank you to the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. Mark Keel assigned some amazing men and women. And when I say it was an agency-wide effort on behalf of SLED, I can't underscore that part enough. Every time I called Chief Keel, every time I reached out to the lead agents, every time Creighton was asking me, hey, General, we need something from SLED, we would reach out to SLED, and they were there. They busted their butts. I can't begin to list every agent. And some can't be listed for obvious reasons. Some are standing up here tonight. I told them I wasn't going to mention their names, but we would not be here if it wasn't for SLED. And I want to thank Mark Keel and his team and all of the men and women across the entire state law enforcement division for what they did to make tonight a possibility.
Amen.
I also want to thank the FBI and the Secret Service, our federal partners. We had to utilize many of their assets and resources. We couldn't do all the things that we did without our federal partners. We had a lot of local partners. We had the Colleton County Sheriff's Department, Buddy Hill, Sheriff Hill and his team providing the security. They did a phenomenal job, and they were there. They were the first responders the night on June 7th, 2021, when Maggie and Paul were butchered brutally. They were the first responders, and they were the first ones to be there. The Charleston County Sheriff's Office, the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office were instrumental in supporting our investigative efforts. You all know Kenny Kinsey, our chief crime scene expert, was with the Orangeburg Sheriff's Office. I also want to thank the city of Walterboro. I think the mayor is here somewhere, and the police department. They provided security. Thank you. This whole community has embraced our entire team, and I cannot thank you enough. We've all been away from our families, 2 hours away from our families for the past 2 months. And it's this community that made us, we would walk into restaurants and people would come up and thank us. You know, you don't have any idea how good that makes people feel when they're under an incredible amount of stress, an incredible amount of scrutiny, and this community really embraced us. I want to thank the Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, and her entire team and their staff. I don't know. I call her Becky Booth. That's her nickname. But Madam Clerk, wherever you are tonight. I'm sorry. That's my pet name for her. But I want to thank you, Madam Clerk, for you, the entire team, the bailiffs, the court security, the staff here. There was no role that was too small that they weren't willing to do for us. The security team here, it was a Herculean effort by everybody, and I can't thank enough people. I don't know if I mentioned the bailiffs, but I want to thank them. And there's another group of people who you don't know who they are, but that's the jurors. And not just the jurors, but the alternates, the ones who didn't even get to serve to the very end, but people who were taken away from their families. I want to thank the families of our jurors who sat here every single day for what seemed like long amounts of tedious, monotonous information and evidence. Sometimes people didn't know what it meant. They didn't understand it. And they had to sit there and process it and hear it over and over and over again. And I want to thank these nameless jurors whose identities have been protected. They may make their identities available to all of you at some point, but they sat there and they delivered justice tonight. And I want to thank them for their role in this process. You know, Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except for every other kind. I kind of want to adopt that and say we may have the worst criminal justice system in the world, but it's better than every other kind that there is. And our criminal justice system worked tonight. It gave a voice to Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, who were brutally mowed down and murdered on the night of June 7th, 2021 by someone that they loved and someone that they trusted. And they couldn't be here to testify for themselves tonight. Their testimony came through the evidence and the information that was gathered by the men and women of the agencies I've just mentioned. It came from the testimony of the agents and the investigators and the attorneys and the folks in our staff who were able to get it to the court record. And so I want to say tonight, their voice was heard tonight and justice was brought for them. We can't bring them back, but we can bring them justice. Amen. Amen. I started off my remarks by saying that it is a good day in South Carolina.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Today's verdict proves that no one, no matter who you are in society, is above the law.
I totally forgot to email you this. Here, babe.
A lot of people doubted that this process would work, and hopefully, for those who did doubt the process, hopefully we have instilled and put a little bit of faith back into you and your lives as you view this process as it unfolds. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of the men and women standing behind me tonight. And there's been a lot of emotion. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I saw firsthand for the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Hey, girl.
Countless nights where you were up beyond midnight and you were getting up before
dawn.
Hey,
Miss Ma'am.
Hello, chat.
I was watching Nancy Grace the other night and I heard her call Creighton pale and gaunt because Creighton wasn't eating and sleeping. He really wasn't, folks. I'm serious. You know, we would have to bring in kind bars and things to eat during breaks. But Creighton, Herculean effort, my friend. And I am.
He's
truly
literally
honored
right
to have
behind you. I don't know where you're looking, sir. Oh, there you go.
And I'd like to invite you to come up here and make some remarks for the folks here tonight.
Thanks, everybody. And I want to start by thanking this guy who's given me and all these folks behind us opportunities to do justice, which is what we want to do with our careers. It is very tough and demanding, but it's rewarding for moments like these. The general stole a lot of my lines, but I also want to thank the jurors for their long and arduous service. And we had no doubt that if we had a chance to present our case in a court of law, that they would see through the one last con that Alec Murdaugh was trying to pull.
I just don't like that little man.
I get
know
to
you
to
don't.
lead
Bring out the poop. Where's the
this
poop?
grand jury and the Attorney General's office. This particular case is not a
He's the
state grand
star
jury
of this
case. There
show.
are other indictments that are state grand jury. But the one thing about that is that I have an amazing team. And I want to be clear, this was a team effort. Y'all saw all of these folks behind me doing amazing work. And I can't be prouder of a team in my life. We called this our Super Bowl, and not because of the media attention, but just because of the effort that we knew that we would have to put into this. And we didn't really get to watch much of the Super Bowl that went on because when we arrived, I think it was winter and it feels like spring now. But every single member of this team, every single member of the state grand jury staff, what we do well is work together as a team in complex investigations. And who we work with is my partners at SLED. And I can't thank them enough as well because we're used to working on these complex cases and working together.
Well,
and I'm not leaving out Sheriff Hill
and
the Colleton County Sheriff's Office and our federal partners in Orangeburg and Charleston Sheriff's Office and all the other agencies on this case. I also want to thank Ms. Becky if she's still up there because she's been amazing. The clerk staff has been amazing. The court staff has been amazing. The bailiffs have been amazing. And again, I also want to thank this community who really has embraced us and has been so great to us and made us able to survive this process that has been long and arduous. And I have been sleeping. I hadn't been. And I have been eating more than Kind bars every now and then. But, and I'm sure that's a nice plug for Kind. But anyway, it really has been a great process. We will have sentencing tomorrow. Obviously, we're not going to comment on sentencing because that's still pending. But justice was done today. It doesn't matter who your family is. It doesn't matter how much money you have or people think you have. It doesn't matter what you think, how prominent you are. If you do wrong, if you break the law, if you murder, then justice will be done in South Carolina. And I think South Carolina has shown to the nation and the world how a process can work and work well. Thank y'all.
And also, I want to thank Creighton. I told Creighton, I said, Creighton, I'm going to come down and I'm going to be just a staff attorney. I know I'm your boss. I'm your boss's boss's boss, but I said I'm going to come down and I'm going to help. And I said I'm going to follow instruction. And I hope I was true to my word. This past weekend, I said, what can I do to help? I said, I'm willing to take a witness if it'll help. He said, actually, it would. So he let an old prosecutor dust off his cleats and get back in the game and to help the team out. And
I got to be the boss of the boss for a while.
Yeah, don't get used to it. No, but in all seriousness, I'm proud of the decisions that I made in putting the people behind me and to the left and right of me in charge of this case. And I was honored to be part of this team. Just another member, just another worker bee in the trenches trying to bring justice to the people of this state and to bring justice to the people who couldn't be here tonight because they were brutally murdered by someone they trusted. Now, with that being said, I know a lot of people want to talk to us. A lot of people want to talk to some of the attorneys and the support staff and the agents, investigators here tonight. Some of you want to talk to me and others. We're going to make ourselves available to you. But like Mr. Waters just said, tomorrow there's a sentencing hearing, and we don't want to get out in front of our skis. And plus, I'm starting to feel the rain come down. But I promise you, we're going to make ourselves available to talk to members of the media, to talk to all of you out there that have questions. We'll answer any questions that we can. We hope you'll continue to be patient with us as we finish this process tomorrow. Again, we're going to go back and get a good night sleep tonight. But again, thank you. Also, one last group that we didn't thank, the media. You all, I know a lot of people in this, polarizing world we live in, a lot of people take shots at the media, but the media was incredibly respectful. You were so good, not just to us, but listen to the families of the victims. Okay, I know this is an awkward situation, but you protected the identities of people, and you protected the process. And I want to thank you for your part in this and telling the stories, educating the public on what's going on out there. So now I'm going to stop speaking as an attorney general, and I'm going to close as a father and as a husband. Say that we go home tonight. Hug your loved ones. Hug your spouse. Hug your children. Because this case, if it reminds us of anything,
Hey,
that you can't take for granted that people in your family are always going to be there. And right now, when I get home tomorrow, I'm going to hug mine, and I hope you hug yours. But thank you again. Thank you for your prayers.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your prayers. You came and prayed for me. I see a lot of people come and say we're praying for you. We appreciate your prayers. Thank you all so much. And this is going to conclude this press conference. We look forward to talking to all of you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna let you go right here. I just want to thank you and your staff. Y'all just did a good job. God bless you. Thank y'all very much. Thank y'all. And thank the media.
All right, Brian Buckmeyer. There you are. Proud prosecutors brought back to the day.
All right. So there you have it. There it is. There's the press conference. I have to say, I was reading the chat and I was thinking the same thing as Teresa when she put it in the chat. Not one single mention of Buster or the Brandsetter family, which is Maggie's family, or any of the other Murdaughs. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Paul and Maggie were part of the Murdaugh family too. They were Randy and John Marvin's nephew. He was Randy and John Marvin's nephew. And Maggie was Randy and John Marvin's sister-in-law. Everybody lost here. Nobody there is no winning. The two human beings are dead. Nobody won.
And you know what else, Jen, is that the sad thing is if he didn't do that, somebody or somebodies are still walking the streets that unalive those two people.
Correct. Now listen, I personally am I believe in our justice system. And I don't necessarily think all 12 jurors will speak, but I do think that a couple of them at least will. And I really would like to know what it was that they heard that tipped the scales from them, because they're supposed to start with the presumption of innocence. That's how you come in day one of the trial. And then as time goes on, you're hearing and stuff. But I'm really curious what all is coming next. Not what's coming next. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. I got to quit doing that while I'm talking. What all tip the scales for them? I'm curious if the going to the kennels did something, that seeing it up close and personal, the size of it, the area as it were, gave a better perspective, and maybe they just felt like
well, did you hear? I don't mean to cut you off, but I'll lose my train of thought on that. But did you also hear that the jury stopped them in the road and they got out and walked across the street through the woods because apparently there is a duck pond and a shooting range through there. And it's been unclear why they wanted to see this. I don't know I don't know where it's at in relation to the road. So I don't know if they got to actually, but have you heard what that was even about? Why they wanted?
No, I had not even heard that they did that.
Yeah.
Hey, Kate.
The whole line of vehicles from the court that they stopped and the jury got out. And this was reported on Law and Crime Network. Okay. I can't remember if it was Anjanette but anyway, there's supposedly a shooting range and a duck pond.
Well, now that I knew.
And so, I didn't even know that. And so they wanted to walk. It's unclear. I don't know if it was walkable, like to get to, I don't know, but they stopped, they got out and they went into the woods.
I think it is walkable. So, when Alec is talking about him and Paul talking about the sunflower fields. So when it's sunflower season, which they do for the doves and for the deer, they bulldoze over the duck pond. and that's where it's planted. So it's right there on
Okay.
Moselle.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Heather's probably right. I think the kennel video let me highlight that his testimony and the jury viewing might have done it. I will say this. I said it when I heard the substance of the kennel video. I said from that day that kennel video was going to be very, very, very difficult. Hey, Mama Stone, for the defense to come back from. It's very damning, especially given the fact that he said the entire time. It's just one of those things you cannot, it's just one of those it is going to be difficult. Look, we had a difficult time, and I know when Truth Teller and I and Criminality and I and anybody and I would talk about this case, the one thing that we all agreed on was that kennel video was difficult. That was going to be a difficult thing for the defense to come back from, quite frankly, just because he lied. And even though he got up there and eventually told the truth and said why he lied, which, to be fair, I mean, I can't know what's going on in another person's brain, but I can say this. It appears that the jury did not buy that explanation.
Right.
So.
And I agree. That was, I knew when that came out, that was going to be very difficult to recover from, because I mean, even when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, he did this. He did it. It wasn't until later, hearing more and more. I mean, and that's what trial is for, is to hear everything. But that was very damning for him, I believe.
Oh, very. And then on the stand, when not only did he admit to finally being there, but I think that one of the other nails in the coffin was him saying, because the jury can only go off of what's based, what evidence they see, right? And the defense, and this was pointed out today on Law and Crime, and this was an astute observation, and I feel a little ashamed that I missed it. But the defense never actually argued the timeline. They never said that the timeline was wrong, that Alec wasn't here or there where the state said he was or wasn't. You know what I'm saying? By the data and all that. They never argued that timeline. And I think that the jury believed that there was such a short window of time that even if he was on his way back to the house from the kennels, he had to have heard those gunshots. Maybe that's what they thought about, but also the fact that the property is relatively there's not really a whole lot around it. I mean, hell, the Colleton County Sheriff's Department went past it and had to turn back around. So the fact the dogs didn't alert was probably problematic too.
Also, have you thought about the fact that they didn't, that 5 weeks into this trial, the Netflix documentary dropped? They could have filed something to stall the release of that during this trial. This came out just last week. We're 5 weeks into the trial, and they dropped because even though this judge is giving them warnings and admonishments on what they can and can't do, they're human. They're going home and doing whatever they want to do.
Well, we saw that, because that's what got one of the jurors removed.
What, that documentary?
No, that the jurors don't necessarily follow the rules.
Yeah. Okay, I thought you were telling me something I hadn't heard. But yeah, but I'm saying, they could have, the defense could have filed motions to stall that. I'm just saying that to say, there's a lot of things they didn't do that I don't understand. Like, to your point about, not challenging the timeline and things like that.
I don't understand why they didn't, Judge. See, that's what they needed to spend time doing, is challenging the length of what they should have done. Honestly, shout out to Criminality. If y'all missed her live last night, where we all in the chat sort of broke it down to, if they would have done something like that, where, there is essentially, what was it, Teresa, 12 minutes, 47 seconds, right? And if they would have done all they had to do was just inject enough reasonable doubt. And, you know, they just weren't able to do it. And I really thought that, you know, I said that the way I picked it was going to only be one of two ways. There was going to be a hung jury or there was going to be a guilty plea. I did not think that there was going to be an acquittal. I really didn't.
I didn't think there would be that either.
Yeah. So I think that I'll tell you right now, I'm floored. And also, by the way, before I forget, let me mention this as well. Our girl, Truth Teller, did a phenomenal job, quick on the ball, got that live up, going, didn't get a thumbnail and all. She was a professional, and the verdict was read on or streamed and read on her channel. So please go give that a listen to, because that's our honest, in the moment reaction to the verdict being read. And also, she's doing an excellent job, not just on this case. I was so impressed with you when you of your coverage of, is it Tyler Doyle? Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. You're so sweet, Jen.
Thank you. I thought you did a phenomenal job on that. I really did. I thought you just did an amazing job. Let's look at Heather Brett. I had to look I did the best I could with what I had, but we were going to cover
snot.
Every time Truth Teller and I get together, boom, something huge goes down in the courtroom. But I had to make it cohesive with what we were talking about, and the behavior panel used this exact picture. So I thought, let me be a team player. And I had a petty moment. Okay. I mean, this is why I identify with the poot, because I know when he's being petty. But she's done an amazing, amazing job. I'm so glad that you decided to do true crime.
Well, I've really enjoyed my time with you doing this, Jen. We've had fun doing this. And Teresa, I love to hear Teresa's thoughts, and her timelines are just phenomenal. I mean, she breaks it down just like last night, like you were talking about the time. That was, I mean, she breaks it down just like it is. I had to leave. I had company. What did y'all come up with? Was it right on the money, or was it?
I fell asleep. I fell asleep. I said, I'm going to go to bed early. Right. And I started to go to sleep, and I thought, okay, I was feeling tired. Right. So I'm going to just, chill out. And, Teresa's had ended, and I went over to Brittany's, and I put Brittany on the TV, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to lay here and I'm going to go to sleep. And, Teresa, you want to come up, babe, or are you busy?
She's not too busy for us.
She shouldn't be. I'm going to put this link in the chat for you, Teresa. But yeah, and then I tossed and turned all night long, because all I could think about is I had a brilliant idea about giving like an ode to the poot, like his best trial moments. And once that thought came into my head, I ran like my mind was remembering all 11 billion freaking hours of trial, that I was going to have to go through.
Do I have an echo?
Yes.
Yeah, hold on, I'll be back.
Okay. Nobody wants to hear Jen Lou twice. That's ridiculous. So, yeah.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've had fun jumping in this true crime genre. It's been interesting, and it's been fun.
It's right up your alley, though, Truth Teller. You are so detail oriented, and
girl, what you talking about? You are the one that's detail oriented.
But you
Teresa
are too.
Teresa too. Y'all throw out stuff that I hadn't even noticed.
Well, yeah, but that's the beauty of it, is that all of us are detail oriented, and it's the details that the difference in what details we see And when we come together, I think it just meshes well. And I think it's just, and plus it's fun.
It is
to
fun.
talk about stuff like this. And, you know,
it is. It is. It
now,
has been fun.
You good now, babe?
I think so. Do you guys still hear an echo or no?
No echo.
Okay. You'll have to bear with me because I am starting dinner. But
oh, what are you making?
Tonight it's right now. I'm about to start making guacamole, and then I'm making carne asada tacos.
Oh, yum!
So I'm in the house, and it's kind of chaotic with all these little tiny people. So I may mute a lot.
Okay, well, just I just appreciate you being up here.
So that's how I was telling. So the timeline we figured out, it was 12 minutes and 47 seconds we were trying to fill in. And with the minimum amounts of time that people were saying in chat of all the things he had to do, we came out with 10 minutes flat. So definitely possible, but we were giving him some really fast times to do certain things that I was like, maybe, and it's tough because with his weight, could he do all these things that fast? But then it's like, he was on the opioids, which he said gave him energy, so maybe he was moving faster. So we left it with the 10-minute mark. So yes, he could possibly do all of those things under 12 minutes and 47 seconds.
Wow.
I think that when the financial, I doubt that will be, I doubt there will be cameras for that though. What do you think?
For the financial stuff?
So. Yeah.
Well, I actually think that the fact
I was just going to say, I think that maybe we'll learn a lot about, shit, I don't even know where I was going with that. I've lost my train of thought now.
I think with Anjanette Levy saying that we're going to find out. Now she does work with law and crime, so she would know potentially maybe if there were going to be cameras allowed. Who knows? They might stream it.
Right.
They might stream it. I mean, it is a criminal trial. I mean, hell, law and crime is streaming a Florida case about a psychic who's a scammer.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm convinced that once we hear about all of that, and since they claim that they know where that money went, I'm convinced, because I don't think he unalived his family. I don't. And I'm convinced we'll learn more during that. I think we'll have more of a, to go to Teresa. Teresa was talking about the timeline. And so I just think that I'm of the opinion that he was in deep with somebody, somebody somewhere, somebody's and I feel like this was some revenge, either that or the Mallory Beach incident.
Listen, at this point, I want to know what the jurors thought. Really, that's what I really want to hear, because if what they based it on, because I'm curious about it, and I want to see if it makes sense, right? But also I think that if we were to hear the financial crimes and follow the trail, perhaps that would go a long way to explaining what Alec was actually into. And maybe I just want to know. And frankly, at this point, because we got so much of the financial stuff in the murder trial, damn it, I feel we're owed. I'm sorry. I know that's uppity and probably entitled, but I feel like at this point, they better stream that shit. And I honestly cannot see them not trying him. I know that people think, well, what's the point? But Darrell Brooks, who was in the Waukesha Christmas parade, and he was convicted. And not only was he convicted, his sentences were set to run consecutively, meaning that he has to do one before another starts. He has to complete one, and then the next one starts. And there is absolutely no way that man, unless he's successful on an appeal, but will ever be out of prison. And he will likely die in prison, right? Of old age. He'll never see freedom again. But you know what? That they're still prosecuting him for the other crimes the other crime that he's accused of with respect to his girlfriend, I believe it is, or ex-girlfriend now. At the time it was his girlfriend. So I really don't think that I can't see them not prosecuting him for the financial crimes. I feel like the people, particularly the victims. Now, if it happens, it's going to be because the state and Murdaugh's attorneys are behind the scenes, trying to negotiate a plea deal. But I don't know. We'll have to see. But it won't be because, it'll be because he's going to be tried for it.
I mean, he admitted to everything during this trial. I can't imagine the court wasting resources or him allowing the court to waste resources only for them to find him guilty.
Replay this trial.
Right.
Yeah.
I always get those two confused. Concurrently,
they run together consecutively.
Right. What did I say? Consecutively, right? He has to do one
consecutively back to back.
Right. Okay. So whatever I said, I don't remember what I said, but I meant consecutively. My bad. I don't even remember what I said now.
I don't know what you said. I knew what you meant though. So whatever you said,
Thank God.
So you were saying like you're curious about what the jurors are going to say. I'm really curious to hear about the alternate from that was let go today. The one that was like had to go to a room by herself, and then the one that was the actual juror that was let go today and wanted her eggs. I want to know what they say.
I want to know which way they would vote as well, because what I find very, very interesting about the that specific juror is I'm given to understand that that juror is the same juror that when Alec was on the stand passed him to Kleenex. And I'm also given to understand that Harpootlian didn't necessarily want her dismissed. And I'm given to understand that allegedly the emails that she sent to her coworker said that she did not like the prosecutor and she didn't think that they'd proved his case. But again, that is all.
So my question is, did her friend that she was emailing, is she the one that turned her in? Because how did the court find out about this?
I think her friend is the one that gave over the emails and turned her in.
Well, she knew what she was supposed to do. He said it every single day. And I know that Anjanette and I don't know that other lady's name. They both said that they had Gigi, yes. Look at you on top of it, girl. What I don't know, you don't know. What
I know what you mean. What you don't know, I know, and what I don't know, you know.
That's it. Same with Teresa. Shit, if I don't know it, y'all know it. But they said that that they both had her pegged as she was leaning toward the defense.
Right. And she might have been the holdout. Now I'll say this before. I just would like now if Creighton and the other guy got to toot their own horn, I think that all of us that covered this case ought to get to toot our own horn too. Toot, because people have said, oh, the true crime community, they fight, they fuss, they can't get along, they can't work together. We've proved that wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
We absolutely have. And not only have we all worked together, we don't all have the same opinion on the case, and yet we have still worked together.
That is what's beautiful to me. Teresa was on the side that she's on right now long before I ever was, and we were still able to communicate about I think it's just been fun. It's just been a good run with this. Sad circumstances, but it's been fun.
It is incredibly sad circumstances, but I'm proud of us as a community because let's be honest, we're getting the true crime community on YouTube is getting, well, really just online in general, has been getting bashed by mainstream media.
Oh, I know.
And I'm about tired of it because the mainstream media, Ashley Banfield, I'm looking at you in case you're wondering, has done some of their own shady shit, and then tried to point the finger at online sleuthers. Well, suck it, Banfield. Oh, Gail, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm just shook it took them you'd think that they would want to go, like, we were all talking about this, really, like how in the heck were they going to be able to remember all of the things, because they didn't get to take notes.
Speaking of remembering things, Teresa, where do you put all your information? I just need to know. I need to know your techniques. There she goes.
Spreadsheets.
And girl, if you've got any question about any detail of a case, she's got it.
She's got it. You know what she does? And I do this too. So if I get sent screenshots, I send them to myself so that I can go on Facebook Messenger and I never have to scroll through the messages or anything, because it's all right there, because I don't ever actually talk to myself in my chat. So it's all it's all media. So it's real easy to find. And now Messenger has made it where you can like pin messages, or like sometimes the only thing I'll write is like Murdaugh stuff, right? And then I'll search the chat for Murdaugh stuff. Boom, all the pictures are right there. And like if I've taken a screenshot of like PDFs, pages for PDFs and stuff like that, that's how I do it.
Recliner Detective just said something that I have been meaning to bring to ask about: the hair in Maggie's hand. What do you make of that? There was a hair in her hand, a dark colored hair. Obviously, is not Alex's,
and not hers.
And not hers. That bothered me. That really bothered me. That that disappeared, and also the scrapings under her fingernails. Or I shouldn't say disappeared. They weren't tested. Is that correct?
I am given to understand that they weren't suitable. They weren't, the scraping under her nails wasn't suitable for testing because there weren't that many of the separate alleles under there. And so they couldn't definitively say one way or another who it was. They could only say that it was a male. And as far as the hair, this wasn't really brought up a whole lot in the trial, which I thought, which makes sense, obviously, the state, but neither did but the defense didn't make use of it either. Hair testing is a little bit different. So it depends on, so what they can do with the hair that does not have the root attached. The root is what holds a person's specific originals only unto them DNA. They can do what's called mitochondrial DNA. And when it's the hair, it's from the mother's side. It is not as specific as obviously DNA, right? It includes a ton of it's more specific than, like, say, blood typing, right? But it does include more people, so it's not as specific. And I'm thinking, I cannot remember if it had a root. I feel like if it had a root, that if nothing else, the defense would have had it tested or pushed for it to be tested. And I'm curious about that. And I do know that there are a ton of the pretrial motions. And I know because I watched a few of them available on Law and Crime and I think Court TV. And then I think the local news covered it as well, like the entirety, not just like on a, not just during the news, like a quick segment. And I'm kind of curious about those, and I might go back and watch those at some point. But for now, I think I'm shocked that they're ready to have sentencing. That
so
they don't.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but Adjusted Fate said that CB Rowe could not be excluded. So
no, he could not.
Okay.
See, and that's the problem, is that because of the number of alleles that they found, there was enough to say that, like, CB row has some in common, but it isn't there wasn't enough to make a positive identification, to the exclusion of 99.999%
See, that really,
of the
really
world.
bothers me. That really bothers me.
But the thing is that it bothers me too, but sometimes it's like that. And the fact is, CB row worked there. So
so let me, I knew you were going to say that.
Okay.
So let me just throw this out.
I'm always looking for the loophole, because that's how trials work.
Right. I'm just, what plays in my mind is, this isn't like this happened in her home, where these people are in and out of, where things are confined to the home. If a hair falls, it may fall on her recliner, the arm of her chair, it gets on her, but she's outside at these kennels, outside in the open air, wind's blowing, not confined to anything. She's outside. I mean, it's how coincidental would it be to her having some random hair in the palm of her hand?
I don't think it was the hair that couldn't be ruled out. I thought it was underneath the nails. Up underneath
okay, well, that's
nails.
where I was confused.
The hair was never tested, is what I understand.
That's what
I don't think they ever tested it, but underneath her nails. Now, see, the thing about the underneath her nails, because he worked out there, we don't realize, y'all, what we can pick up from other people that stays. Do you know what I'm saying? And it depends on what it was that she was doing that. Now, I will say this, I am more perplexed by it being underneath her nails, because quite frankly, she'd had her nails done. And whenever you get a manicure, even if it's just even if you're getting just a manicure, they clean up underneath your nails. They do it with the nail brush. Even if you were to get if she were to get a set like acrylics, right? Same thing. They put they cut they cut your nails. And second of all, then they put the acrylics on top of it. And after they do all the things that they do, you girls know, they give you the nail brush and they tell you to wash underneath your nails before they completely finish them up.
You're exactly right.
To me, that element does have me perplexed, because I can't, that one is something that is bothersome to me, and I don't quite understand it. And I would like an explanation of that. But what I would say is that would be an excellent basis on an appeal to have it tested.
Yes, it would.
And I'd like to know, they talk about it. The thing is that's interesting to me is, and this is where I'm at with the hair. I understand why the state might not bring it up, although I always think it's better to get ahead of things. So if, but for whatever reason, the defense didn't bring it up either. And to me, there's a reason for that. And there's a reason for that. They must know something that we don't know about that hair. Like, is it a human hair to begin with? Because if it's a brown hair, well, I mean, Cash is a chocolate lab, and plus they had other dogs. So what's funny about chocolate labs? Just a little bit of trivia for you. Do you know that the hair you see on them, right, is obviously chocolate, hence the chocolate. But if you've ever picked up if you have a chocolate lab's hair and chocolate lab, and you've ever picked up a single piece of their hair, the root color is gray.
Yeah, and I was going to say, though, you don't have to be a scientist to differentiate human hair from dog hair. I would know dog hair straight up.
Right. Most people would. But my problem is that, and this is, yeah, hello, mainstream media, I'm looking at you. Because there was a lot of media surrounded the murders to begin with, and there were a ton of rumors and stuff floated in the media. Frankly, I mean, the whole thing with the high velocity blood spatter that was leaked to the media, and it took off like wildfire. And then we come to the trial and we find out that's not true, because grand juries are supposed to be sealed. So if that evidence was which they said it was, so if that evidence was presented in front of a grand jury, none of us should have ever known about it prior to the trial.
Right.
And then you have the divorce. People reported it as, and then repeated it as absolute fact, as if there were evidence of Maggie hiring a forensic accountant and speaking to a divorce attorney. And we've come to find out that that's not true either. And it never happened. And so now it has me wondering about that hair. Is that true? Because it wasn't brought up at trial.
I don't know. I have a lot of questions about this trial.
I think there are, I have to be honest, I don't think I've ever sat through a trial or covered a trial where I wasn't left with questions. But
well, no,
but this one is a little bit different. And I just feel awful for Buster. I really do. And I feel awful for Maggie's sister and her parents, all of her family. I mean, one thing that I took away from this trial with regard to Maggie was that she was close to her family.
Right.
That she was incredibly proud of her niece, who was pregnant and I guess had the baby like right after Maggie and Paul were murdered and stuff like that. And, it's sad. Nobody really won today. This was not, nobody won. Buster has lost his entire family.
Family.
Granted, Alec is going to prison and, he's not lost him in that sense. Like, he can still take calls and stuff. But let me just say this. Prison is a hard place. And Alec isn't like some hardened criminal, for lack of a better word. And now that he has had so much fuss about this trial, he is a target. And so, prison's not a safe place just in general, and the fact of the matter is it's still his dad, and that's got to be hard for him. It's got to be hard.
I can't imagine. And watching his face when after they read the verdict, it was just heartbreaking. I mean, it was. He's lost his life as he knew it. I mean, it's gone.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. That's what I said earlier, MK, to highlight this one, that historically quick verdicts are typically guilty the longer a jury stays out. It means
I just thought that they would take more time going through the evidence, because they had a ton that, or at least for me, that I would have had to go, to go back, because this is somebody's, we don't all think the same, but this is somebody's life on the line.
Right.
And I don't know. I
thought I would, I have to be honest with you guys. I really thought I would feel different about this. I've said that I felt that he was guilty. I also said that I wasn't sure that, but this is me being able to look at things that the jury wouldn't be able to look at, obviously. And, but I have to say that I thought that I thought I would feel differently when the verdict was announced and that it was guilty. And I don't know, maybe I'm getting soft in my old age.
I
This
feel
is
like
some
I think I've
bullshit.
gotten a lot softer since
Yeah.
as I age. I think I've gotten softer because, I'm
I've
sad. I'm
mellowed.
sad for them.
I am. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. That is so very difficult for your. I can express anger. I can express happiness, but sadness is something that's very difficult for me to say to own that I can be sad. I mean, clearly I have all the feels. It's just I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable with it. But I am. It just doesn't. It's sad.
It
What
is sad.
happened? You know. I feel bad for Buster. I watched, because they had him split screened, and I watched his face way more than I watched Alex, and you could tell he was tense. And after the first guilty verdict, his face just got redder and redder and redder, and he was fidgeting and he was uncomfortable. And his life is forever changed now too. The Murdaugh name is not going to mean something. It's not going to mean the same thing as it did before this trial. I'll tell you that right now. And yes, Alec can appeal his verdict.
Now, when they hear the Murdaugh,
he probably will.
Now, when you hear the Murdaugh name, and it didn't mean anything to us, but in South Carolina, it means everything to a lot of people there. But now they'll be left with, instead of remembering this dynasty, they'll remember a disgraced attorney that brought the dynasty down.
Exactly. And I think that I will say this, Karen, you're right. This was a hard one for jurors. We will never, well, not never, but those autopsy photos, those crime scene photos are under seal. I don't know how long they will remain. I would imagine that even if I were to file a request right this minute, I don't know what all I would get, and I don't know if I were to wait 4 years and file a request if it would change. I don't think we'll ever get the bulk, like the crime scene photos, and we we'll never get the autopsy. They hardly ever release those. But let me say this: those jurors saw that, and that might be, truth teller, another thing that none of us that watched this trial saw. None of us know what was really done, and we are listening to these experts testify. We're listening to the medical examiner from the state. We're listening to another forensic pathologist from the defense, and then the crime scene reenactments and all of that. But we don't have the benefit of of seeing what they saw. And I'm curious if that is how much, if we saw those, if we would change our minds. If we were able to see those, like if we were to experience it the way the jury did, like if we were able to see the photographs that were put up as evidence or exhibits while the testimony was going on, if it would change our mind.
I don't know.
He's not in charge of, Alec is not in charge of which trial comes first. So he had to,
I feel like the jury, we won't know until, I can't wait until, I feel like Egg Lady Juror will speak at some point.
Yes.
And which she won't be able to give us any insight on what went on in the jury room because she was removed. But I'm very curious. I feel like the jury they had trial fatigue. I feel like they were just over it. They wanted out of there. I think that the judge should have dismissed for the day. It was so late in the evening. Maybe started over. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it had made any difference. So that may even be silly to think, but I just feel like they were over it at this point. It's gone on so long. I think day 28. This was?
Yes, day 28, because there was what, 3 days of, so there was 3 days of jury duty, or of picking the jury, and then there was 25 actual days of trial. No, S. Hockett, what I'm not talking about, I'm not saying feeling. Let me see how I can put this. Not actual feelings. What I'm saying is, if we would have a different perspective, if we were able to see what the jury saw, which would be the autopsy and crime scene photos at the same time, the experience it the way they experienced it. Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Fall Club. I feel like if we had been where they were and we were seeing the exhibits as they were displayed and hearing the testimony coming from if that would give us a different perspective. That's what I meant by saying if we would feel differently. I don't mean literal like feelings, like voting on emotion. I'm talking about if we would see things differently there. I'll put it, that's a better way to put it. If we would see things differently. And I think that I think Mo, you're right. I think that they made up their minds probably prior to, or at least had an inclination how they were feeling when the state rested. I wouldn't necessarily say a long time ago, because none of the financial stuff, that was all for motive. That doesn't actually prove that he was there or anything like that, as far as evidence goes, or wasn't intended for that, is what I should say. So what I think is more likely is that after the forensic people were presented, like the pathologist, Dr. Kinsley, and the like the GMC and all the cell phone data like that, I think they were probably more than likely leaning one way, and then I think what they did was they waited and they listened to the defense to see if what the defense put on would change their minds, and it didn't. That's what I think is and that's another thing. That's a good point, MK. They also went to the scene, and it's difficult for us watching it. I can tell you guys from personal experience. I don't know how many of y'all ever watched Leah Remini's show about Scientology. Okay.
No, I haven't.
All right. Well, she shows, and she's been here. Some of the show was filmed in Florida, Clearwater specifically. Okay. And when they show the Fort Harrison Hotel on TV, I am telling y'all, it is nothing like you have to be to see it in person. It is more than a city block. It is huge. It's not like super tall or anything like that. It's just a massive building, what they own in downtown Clearwater. I mean, you have to really experience it. I remember when we first moved here, my sister-in-law, she's like, y'all come, let's go. I want to show you guys downtown Clearwater. It's beautiful. Downtown Clearwater itself is beautiful. Clearwater Beach is beautiful. Downtown Clearwater is really cool too, because I mean, yes, they have the Scientologists, but they also have like a ton of just like cool restaurants and stuff like that. But anyway, the point being is that when they show it on TV, what they don't, what is hard to capture, not only is the size of the Fort Harrison Hotel, but all of the buildings that are around the Fort Harrison Hotel are completely empty. They're owned by Scientology, and they might have some window dressings, but they're completely empty. And it's really the weirdest damn thing you'll ever see. And it's just one of those things that you have to experience for yourself. So I feel like the jury being down there at those kennels and seeing things, you know, put things into, perhaps, solidified some things for them.
Well, Modine makes some very good points, because I'm on the very same page that, they were together literally for where they could openly talk to each other about the case. They were together for 6 weeks, but they couldn't speak on the case. You've got 6 weeks of testimony, and in 3 hours they're done. Like,
I have to say, I am surprised about that, but I'll say this is what I think likely happened, because this is what typically happens with jurors, because they talk about this. That's the only reason I know. Usually what they do is once they're allowed to go deliberate, they usually take a vote right then.
Right.
And see where everybody is.
Yeah.
Right. And then if everybody isn't voting guilty, if there's some holdouts, what they'll do then is say, well, why were you, what is it for you that's causing you to hold out? And then so what it might have been is something very simple, something, that they just ended up discussing it and going over it. And they all said, oh, you know what? Okay. Then they all agreed. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully
I agree
they'll talk.
with S. Hockett too. I think, the entitlement that I think some people viewed as that family having the, and he stole all these millions of dollars, from victims of horrible accidents. And Gloria Settlement, what's her last name?
Satterfield.
Satterfield.
I know. I mispronounced it a few times myself. But, Satterfield, yeah.
And her family. And I think that anger played a huge part in, I can just imagine that. Well, if you'll do this to people, to the dead, and to the people that have been disfigured in horrible accidents, or are now paraplegics, or whatever the case may be, that you're capable of anything. And it's just, I don't know that that's what happened, but I do know that they're human. And
right. And then when you add on to it the financial crime, the financial crimes that included his partners, because let's be honest, he didn't just steal from his clients. He stole the fees owed to, to the firm. And yes, Larry, I hate to see the tourists feeding the seagulls, because they are so rude. Like they are. I've never seen that. When I was young, I had family in California, in La Jolla, and those are the beaches I went to. So they've got seagulls, but man, when I went to Clearwater Beach for the first time, these seagulls are just, I've never seen more aggressive seagulls in my life. Like if you've ever watched Finding Nemo, you know how they're all mine. These seagulls are not like mine, because even that's kind of cute. They're like, bitch, give it to me. They're thugs. I've never seen anything like it. They don't care. You shoo them away, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is what's going to happen. They're going to present evidence tomorrow as to why he should probably get the state is why that he should get the book thrown at him, right? The defense is going to present mitigating circumstances, right? And whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And then immediately following that, the POOT will likely file a notice of intent to appeal, right? Notice of appeal. And the first thing the POOT will do, not himself by himself, but his team will do, is go through the trial and look for any errors. And they'll raise all of those, and just, that's probably what will happen. And listen, I don't ever want to see anybody I am a huge proponent for the justice system, but being a proponent for the justice system means that you have to recognize that the justice system gets it wrong sometimes. And that is what the appeals process is for. And what I'm hoping is, if he is has an actual innocence claim. That's very different than a technicality, but an actual innocence claim. That is what the appeals process is intended to do. And I will say this, enough people followed this trial and this case. And if you believe that the verdict was a mistake and you feel that Alec Murdaugh is actually innocent, meaning he had nothing to do with it at all, I would encourage you guys to look into it, request the discovery, read through the discovery, and see if you can find another better suspect. All those things are available to you. That's why trials are public. So there you go. That's why we're supposed to be the checks and balances.
It's just it's sad all the way around.
It is sad. It is sad.
I can't imagine what if he is truly innocent. Let's just say that he is. I can't imagine what he's feeling on top of his grief for his family, and to know not only is he in prison for unaliving his wife and his son, but now being convicted. You have to wear that letter forever now. You have now been convicted of it.
100%. 100%. I don't even feel like doing the behavior panel. Do you?
I was going to say it has put us in a somber mood.
It has. We'll definitely, because I mean, look, this happened. It's, it just happened. We're all processing. I don't think he's given up, S. Hockett. I really don't. But I'll say, this has been something that we just heard about this. There's no way for us to be able to completely switch gears and just start cracking jokes right now,
Right.
because this was I didn't expect this to happen today. I really didn't. I
didn't either. I thought tomorrow, but
that's what I thought. They got it late in the day today. And I definitely didn't think we would get a verdict this early. I really did not. Charlie, let me highlight your comment, babe. Here's the thing about that. What I'm given to understand, and now remember, take this with a grain of salt, not what I'm saying to you, because I'm telling you how it's been reported. That's not the part. Don't take me with a grain of salt. Take the report with a grain of salt, because as we've seen with other evidence respective to the Alex Murdaugh trial, some stuff that comes out in the media and is presented as fact and as evidence of as part of the evidence of a crime isn't always true. So what I understand about the case with Stephen Smith is that during the investigation into Maggie and Paul's murders, evidence was recovered, or discovered, I should say. Discovered is the word that was used, that caused SLED to reopen the Stephen Smith case. I have no idea what that is. I don't even know if that's entirely true. And the fact is that from what I have personally looked into, and I have used actual documents from his case, is that I'm not 100% or even, I don't know who did it, to be quite honest with you. But I would say this, what I'm hoping for is that now that the technology is available through the FBI Secret Service, with the brute force, that SLED requests help from them in getting into Stephen Smith's phone, because they have it, and getting the data extracted, so they'll have a better idea of his movements, who he was talking to. Your phone doesn't lie. Your contacts are your contacts. Your calls are your calls. And so that's what I'm hoping for. I don't think that I'm not sure that Buster had anything to do with that. I only know that his name has come up, but again, it's an open investigation. So anything that I've seen is stuff that's been released to the public, but I promise it's not the whole investigation. Probably not even a tenth of the investigation. And I'll say this, Seth, I know you feel extremely, extremely strong about this. And I know that you are from there, and you know what, we're just having a discussion. That's it. That's all we're having. We're not trying to defend Alec or anything
I mean,
like
at
that.
the end of the day, I'm not going to toss and turn tonight, but I do have compassion for what has just happened, because nobody won. Nobody won. There's so many people that are hurt in this situation. Even if he had been found not guilty, there's irreparable damage to that family.
Correct.
And
even if he'd been acquitted of these charges, he's still facing the financial crimes, and he is still facing the conspiracy and manufacturing and all the other things that he is facing with respect to the roadside shooting. So even if he had been acquitted on this, he still has 2 other trials to go. And at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is, even if he'd been acquitted on this, I don't think that Judge Newman would have granted him bail.
I don't either.
On the financial stuff, because remember, he was actually arrested for the financial crimes before he was indicted and charged with the murders.
I think
Judge Newman denied him the bail then.
Or he would have set it so high that he couldn't.
Right. And they will, Seth. Right now, I guarantee you right now, what they've done to Alec is because what's going on with Alec is he's being moved to the self-harm section of the jail, and they're watching him, and they will watch him. I remember usually defendants don't talk about this because usually they're represented by an attorney, but Darrell Brooks was not. So he spoke about what happened, and he said that after the minute he was convicted on his, they put him on a hold in the jail, which made it very difficult for him to be able to prepare his defense for his sentencing. So, yep, he'll get the turtle suit. Hi, Corky.
I don't think we've seen the last of him, though. I mean, I think, regardless, he's still a Murdaugh, and I just think there's more to come. Don't count him out just yet.
No, I wouldn't either. And again, I really do. I would imagine at this point, they're probably going to hopefully stream Cousin Eddie's trial, because that's coming up too. And I feel like I hope, and I know that I keep seeing Era's saying that Brian Kohberger is next. Brian Kohberger is only a pretrial, and that's in June. We have Leticia Stout. She's coming. So jury selection for her starts March 20th, and they're expecting that to take like 2 weeks. And so they're thinking that her trial will start in April. We have her. Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, their trials were severed. The judge finally was like, fuck it.
What do you think about that?
I think that, frankly, I'm kind of excited because Alex Erickson and I are going to do it together. And instead of being trial buddies for one trial, we get to be trial buddies for 2 trials. I'm curious, though, how it's going to work. We've got Sarah Boone coming up. Hold on. Tia wants to ask me something, or quick question before I run. Will he be in Gen Pop in the state pokey after the watch?
He should be.
He should be. So what'll happen is they'll do, well, no, because they might put him on self-harm watch because he's been convicted. And
he
then
won't be on that for very long, though.
No, but then they might put him back on it depending on what he gets sentenced with. And and then they're going to start. I don't think he's going to go anywhere like anytime soon as far as to a diagnostic center, because I think he's got more trials coming up relatively. It depends on how quickly his other trials are. If they're far into the future enough, they might go ahead and send him to the diagnostic center and get that process started and then they just bring him, whatever, just transfer him back to Hampton County or whatever, whenever it's time for the other trials and stuff like that. So, but good night, Tia.
Good night, Tia.
So, Melly, I just, before I went live, I wanted to check on that. The last that I'd heard, and it hasn't changed, is that there will only be audio of her trial. There will not be visual of her trial. So it'll only be audio. Yes, Corky, guilty on all the counts. I don't know that they've settled, if all of the lawsuits respective to the boat crash have been settled yet, because one of Connor's lawyer has been attending trial every day. So I don't know if all of, well, listen, Melly, I think that even if we can't see what's happening, I still want to cover it because I want, because it's, Gannon, I want to know. I want to, that one, I followed that case and I want to know. And the same thing with, I think, with Vallow. See, this is interesting, okay? Because Vallow didn't want cameras in the courtroom. She does not want her trial televised. But old Daybell is like, hell, I don't care. Film it. So the separation means we'll at least get cameras in one courtroom and audio in the other. I'm curious, how strong of a case the state's going to have. It's different when you have the co-defendant sitting right there when they're tried together. It's different. So it'll be, but Lori, there's some sort of situation with something that's there's DNA. They don't know whose it is. They don't know if it's inculpatory or exculpatory, but his attorney wants it tested, and that's his right. And he's mounting a vigorous defense for his client, and that's his job. And because the state crime lab is backed up and they can't do it, they've settled on, I think, ironically, Bodie Lab, and he wants it tested. And so, and Lori's like, well, I didn't waive my right to a speedy trial. Thank you, Mrs. Arnold, for joining memberships. Welcome to the Cookaloos. And, Vallow, Lori's like, no, I want a speedy trial. Let's go. I don't give a rat's fat kneecap about this DNA shit. I want to be on trial. They don't want to give the state time. Her lawyer's taken the position that they don't want to give the state all the time in the world to prepare a case. Hell, they've had 2 years. Let's get a show on the road. She's ready to go. She's going to take her chances.
I wonder if she and Chad are, there's whispers that they're, no longer together. I just wonder if they're still together, or what I'm getting at is it's going to be interesting to see if they turn over on each other.
See, I've been thinking about that, truth teller. I ponder a great many things, mainly in the shower, as we've all heard. I kind of think it's an act.
You think so?
Actually, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think they'll actually turn on each other. I think what they're going to do is they're going to blame her brother for all of it because, I mean, he's dead and can't defend himself. I think they're going to blame her brother. That's what I think.
Could very well be.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's an evil bitch.
I do too, and this is why I'm upset that I think her trial should be televised, and or streamed, and you know why? Because I think I remember when her lawyer was talking about that the members that media has been cruel to her. Well, not technically the media. They film what they film, and people like me crack the jokes that they crack. And I'm sorry, Lori Vallow, that it offended you that I said that your lipstick was reminiscent of hot Cheeto dust. But ma'am, that's exactly what it looked like. Okay. You're using commissary for makeup. Yeah, I've watched Locked Up. I know how it works, ma'am. Coffee for eyeliner and mascara. Anywho, I'm sorry that offended you, but I'm not really sorry at all, not even a little. But she said that, and they were zooming in, and then they had put mics on the tables, and so that their conversations could be heard, which is privileged information, blah, 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 blah. But I personally think that Lori Vallow is the type of person that enjoys getting one over on people and feeling like nobody knows what a truly horrible person, monster she is, right? And that if it were televised or streamed, I should say, like, hello, Jen, it's not 1995. If it were streamed, that the world, the world would be able to see exactly what kind of monster she is. And that's the thing that she fears the most. And that actually might punish her, not as much as she deserves, but I actually think that would be, in her mind, worse than prison. Is people knowing exactly what brand of monster she is.
She's a monster. And have you noticed how much monster. I mean, she just looks evil. And her in jail now with not having access to getting her hair colored and the makeup, and look how much more evil she looked than before. Like, she's just, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but she's like, she creeps me out.
She's aging like milk.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you should probably drink more. You should probably try to stay more hydrated, Lori, and back up off the hot Cheeto dust for makeup and invest in some good whatever. I know that they sell moisturizer in the commissary. Chris Watts used to buy it by the tub, so and share it with his fellow inmates. So they sell lotion. You need to get some moisturizer there, ma'am. But
yes,
whatever.
Lori.
I don't. Jesus. Hot Cheeto. I'm telling y'all, go back to when they were allowing her to be filmed for the pretrial motions, and y'all look at that shade of lipstick. I have never in all my live long life ever seen lipstick come in that specific shade. I'm telling y'all, it looks like hot Cheeto dust. It looks like she took a bag of hot Cheetos and ground that shit up and used it for lipstick. I'm telling y'all. Or yes, make some moisturizer out of mayo, something. And stop wearing red. It's a very harsh color. Because you don't have anything, to really balance out the ruddiness that's in your skin. Because, it's just your tone, ma'am. I'm just trying to help.
Well, darling, I think I'm going to hop down, and
right,
I think I have trial fatigue too.
Me too. I do too. Me too. I'm so glad you came up.
I'm so glad that we have worked together on this. I've really enjoyed it, Jen. You really are. You talk about me, but you don't realize the asset that you are around here. I love your brain. I love your brain, girl.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love your brain. In fact, I would rather somebody recognize me for my brain more than to say that I'm pretty.
Me too. I've always been like that. Yes.
I think it's way better to be smart than pretty.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you. So you ain't seen the last of a Jen Lou and Truth Teller collab. We're going to do this again. We'll find something else. Promise.
Oh yeah, we'll get it. Are you streaming the sentencing tomorrow or no?
I am. I want to know what they're going to say. I want to hear the mitigating circumstances.
Right. Mm-hmm. Me too.
That's what I want to hear. So yeah, I'll be here. You're going to work from home though tomorrow, or remotely,
Yeah,
I should say.
yeah.
All
So
right.
I'll
Well,
meet
come on
you.
in.
I'll
Come on
meet
out
you.
and
I'll meet you here tomorrow.
cool. All right, babe.
All
Thanks
right,
for
chat.
coming
Y'all
up.
have a great night. And hello and goodbye to anybody I didn't see. And Jen, I will talk to you soon. I'll see you in the morning.
All right,
Thank you
babe.
for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Night.
Good night. There you go, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only truth teller. So yeah, I think that, oh, Mia, bless your heart, babe. Good night, sweet dreams. I don't know. I feel like I don't necessarily think that this separation of their trial, the severance of their trials, is necessarily inherently a bad thing. And they deliberated about 3 hours, Corkies. But to be fair to the jury, and I listened to Gigi talk about this every day. They would ask about the jury, and hey, Nana Banana, 2 hours and 50 minutes. What was I saying? She kept reporting that the jurors were listening intently, and I yes, Seth, I think that it is more like it that he committed these crimes. What I don't think is that the state has the whole story. Like, I don't think they have it quite right, but I do think at the end of the day, yes, I do think that it is more than likely that he's guilty. I think that you know I do have some questions about some of the evidence, like the DNA underneath Maggie's fingernails and stuff like that. But I think overall, I think it's more likely than not that he did commit these crimes. And at the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter what I think. It mattered what those jurors thought, and they thought he was guilty. So, oh, you're welcome, Faraway Eyes. Thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it. You guys rallied for me, supported me. We're here when my internet was acting a fool and not working, and you guys stuck it out, and just you guys have been wonderful, and it's been my pleasure to cover this trial and talk to you guys and see all of your opinions and get your perspectives on different evidence. It's always fascinating to me, people's perspectives on evidence presented in trial. And I want to thank everybody, not only for being here and doing that and being so cool, but what I really want to thank you guys for is the way that you've been in chat. I don't know if you guys notice, but I don't hardly have any, like, I don't have a ton of mods, and I don't keep any of my mods. Like, I tell them I'm going live, and anything like that. I go live, and if the mods come, they come, and if they don't, they don't. And there was a night, and I'm so grateful to the mods that do come. LFT, Shmita, um, Tia, Nadie, but I know that they have other commitments, and so even if they can't be here, it's cool. But there was one night when I was live, and there were, like, I don't know, a couple hundred people in the chat, and there wasn't a single mod in the chat. And you guys were just super cool. Like, it wasn't even, there was no reason for there to be a moderator, because you guys were just so cool. And I want to thank you guys for that, because I think that the creator and the chat, it's 50-50. They make a channel, and I couldn't do it without you guys. And I really appreciate all of it. So thank you all so much. And I will see all of you guys in the morning. And I'm going to stream the sentencing. So you can't have any pudding if you can't eat your meat. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Is it Mary? Is it Maris? Maris is probably how you yes, Maris. So, thank you guys so much. I've just enjoyed this. We've got, listen, this ain't it for us. Now, granted, we are, this trial is over, but we have some really, really big trials coming up. And don't forget, we also, Mary's. Okay, Mary's. Oh, that makes more sense, Jinlu. Get it your shit together. Mary's, thank you. We got some other trials coming up, and thank you, MK. And we have, Brian Koberger's pretrial, and they've unsealed that, and I've read through it. And I gotta say, I feel like the state may have a stronger case than we all initially anticipated. I think a lot of people were worried about it. So I would like to bid you guys a fond farewell and adieu until next time. I will see you guys in the morning. I will be here at like 9:25. All right. If you haven't done so already, give your girl a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night, you guys. All right. Bye. Yes, I forgot about that. Yes, you're right. The Orrin and Orson West disappearance. Absolutely. That's another trial that's coming up quickly. Good night, you guys. Bye.